is the chair. So you have a
Here.
quorum, you have one absent,
Okay.
which is Wolverton, the chair.
All right. Like my people are here. Does anybody want to make a motion to dispense with the reading and approval of the minutes for the July 12th meeting?
Tim moved. Second.
All in favor?
Is that names?
Aye.
Aye. Nails in here.
Okay,
Sir, you gotta give me the names out, sir.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. Nelms is
Gotcha.
number one.
Nelms is
Okay,
here.
All
Gotcha.
right, thank you. I apologize.
I'm just teasing. I try to listen to
No, 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 that's fine. So,
4-0.
do we, on 01/02/20, an update on Greenspan revitalization, Berkeley, is there anything there?
They're not working today.
Oh, not any this week.
Well-
You're rowing around. We decided to give them a week off.
Well, those people on the West Coast would just die for this weather.
They can have this weather.
Okay,
Yeah,
we just,
they can have it.
we'll carry it over. Okay, 09/06/21, request to work in the right of way on 2611 18th Place South, the Robertson Banking property. Cale Smith is our engineer, and then Same Associates. And I know there's some signage issues. We're just going to talk about working in the right of way for this committee, and then signage will get into the special
If anybody wants to
issues.
speak, can they sign in? Sandra, are you in there?
Yeah, I know. We need to make sure.
No, you don't.
I have 10.
Oh,
I think that-
there's not 10.
Okay.
Got one for the record, sir.
Thank you.
Give me your.
All right. Do we, Mr. Smith, do we want to start? with-
Yeah, so I think the first page, we could skip items 1 through 6 because I think most of those will be handled in special issues,
Okay,
other than the sign being in the right of way, the monument sign in the right of way. So it feels like what this committee may want to hear is items number 2, 7, 8, and 9.
okay. All right. Why don't we just start with Sane Associates, I guess, just talking through kind of what the plan is, and we discussed some of it last week, actually, and just kind of, so we can hear from you first.
Hey, do you mind signing in? Thank you.
And these microphones are a little hard to get to.
And did you want to start with item 2 first?
Sure.
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 Would you?
Yeah.
Open up to see.
Yeah, you brought that. That's it.
So item 2 is for the monument sign in the right of way of Rosedale Drive. It's shown here on our drawings. And the plans for it were included in that package. And we were proposing to have that sign in the right of way, just because it will have better visibility in that location in the right of way. Where we did have a possible location for it on site, could create a potential safety issue. This is where we were looking at locating it within our property, off of the 18th Place South here, but it could create an obstruction for any drivers exiting this driveway there. So we feel that Roseville Drive would be a more appropriate location to have it.
Is that that's an hour right away, not the feds.
It's in the city.
Yes.
It's in the city. Okay. And it's not blocking the view, obviously, of those on Rosedale Drive, someone trying to pull out. We gave a same right somehow to Service First Bank across the street. I know it's over there. I went and looked the other day to make sure that no one had stolen it. But and I don't know the history of that, but is it in our right of way also?
I'm sure it is, but this is in a totally different sign district
Right,
than
even across the street.
even across.
I
The
didn't
sign,
realize
the
that.
sign districts are located in your.
Yeah, I remember. Okay. I thought Even that same one, okay. Um, Okay, so really it's first is that we don't allow monument signs in the district at all.
We don't allow, citywide, we don't allow monuments. We don't allow any signs in the city right of way, except things like stop signs and
Without a resolution.
without a resolution. That's correct. Well, that's correct.
Okay. And then the second thing is the size of it and is it not? I think that's our next issue there is,
I think that's for your committee. Yeah, I don't think.
yeah, that gets into y'all's sign
That's,
world,
yeah,
okay.
that's not, y'all are
Okay.
just dealing with the right.
Just whether they can work in the right of way.
And this is
And
somewhat of a follow.
What you would do is if your committee approves it, it will be approved conditioned upon special issues granting a variance. If special issues, that way doesn't grant a variance, it doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah, so we're really only talking about whether we're gonna allow them to work in our right of way. That's all we are.
And this is somewhat of a follow-up from the development approval, the development plan development approval that we had received last year.
Correct. Okay.
I'll just say a couple things, Councilor Harden, which is, we did have some discussion about the use of the right of way last week as it relates to the potential future improvements for a sidewalk consideration and connectivity. And Kale did provide some, follow-up on it. And it does appear on the, I guess what would be the western side, or the eastern side of 18th Place South. There are not many existing segments of sidewalk, and also just based on the grade of the terrain, it would also be a difficult connection. However, I would, if we looked in the future to have connectivity on one of the sides of the street, definitely I would say 18th Place South on the western side of on the road is more conducive for sidewalk connectivity. I would think, just looking at the two existing segments between Rosedale Drive and downtown. So just want to mention that as a follow-up, and Kale, see if you have any additional thoughts on that as a consideration.
Yeah, that's right. And what I drew in the diagram that I sent to Councilor Sims, the easy sidewalk is along Rosedale Drive between 18th Street down to 19th
It
Street.
sort of connects to the one that we just put in.
That's right.
And would keep going.
An extension, right. Yeah, that's right.
And as far as that sidewalk you're referencing, do you foresee any conflicts between the placement of that sidewalk and potentially the placement of the sign, that those would be in conflict to each other in the future?
No, those would not be in conflict.
Thanks.
Okay. So do we have anybody in the committee want to make a motion to allow them to work in the right of way pending the approval of the sign by special issues?
I'll make a motion to allow that pending the approval of special issues.
Hold on,
Hang
guys.
on.
I will-
Just to make sure we're
Move
doing it
too
right.
Quickly.
So with regard to the sign, the work with regard to the sign, that is conditional. The other work would not be conditional because the other work does not require a variance from special issues.
Y'all are approving all of the
Yeah.
right of way work.
The right
So,
of way.
so just,
Which gets into the parking spaces.
correct.
and-
So,
Okay,
so there are two different things. It can all be one motion, but just so we're clear, the only thing that can be conditional is the sign.
right.
The rest of the stuff, if you approve it, then it goes out as approved too.
Do we need to make two motions because of
I
that?
just said motion to allow work in the right of way and also a motion to allow sign placement conditional on SI approval.
Sure. I mean, you can make the one motion that way.
Is that to allow them?
Would we not send it out without a recommendation for the public hearing?
Not the work in the right of way. That doesn't require a public hearing.
There is no.
Just the
The work
sign,
in the right of way does not require.
just the sign
Okay.
variance.
Because the public hearing, the way it's listed on that agenda, I thought that it does reference the work in the right of way, but I could be wrong.
It's because, I think it's because they added under one, we probably need, it's because it originally, I think got put on the agenda to just be work in the right of way. And then we added a sign variance and it was all under the same item. So then we had to set a public hearing, but it was just.
So it's
for
one
sign.
item number in two committees. And so that item number does require a public hearing, but only for the sign variance and not the.
I see where you're saying it reads, but it's,
Yeah,
but
so
it
I
would
just want
need
to
more.
clarify that based on the way it reads. Thanks.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, let's back off for a second if we could. Just talk a little bit about, we went through that in the parking, and you're backing into the street so that, we got 4 spaces there that are for the bank or for the public, I guess. Is that, so we are adding 4 public spaces, which is something we always beg and need for. And so those spaces are really open to anybody, be it somebody at the bank or somebody could be at the gas station, I guess, if they wanted, or wherever. Okay. 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 All right. So it's really those 2 items that we're talking about is working in the right of way for the sign and working the right of way to put the parking spaces. Okay.
And as I understand Ms. Helm's motion, it includes both. It's just that the sign is conditional on special issues.
Correct. So I'll make a motion to honor the request to work in the right of way with the condition for special issues to be the sign placement.
Well, that'll be. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
Pending indemnification.
Yeah.
Okay.
And pending an indemnification agreement.
Them to-
Sign between us and the owner.
You have a standard form. that
We
you
do.
provide.
Yes.
Like to send to you.
Councilor Harden.
I'm sorry. I am.
There's 2 resolutions. One, I would suggest you first address at the council meeting, not you're going to do that in separate committees. But before you approve a resolution to work in the right of way, I would suggest that we first address the sign variance, and then we'll know how to proceed on the second work in the right of way resolution. Right?
So at council, we will take up the sign variance first. And then
Yeah, there's 2 resolutions I prepared thinking that they're certainly connected, but there's 2 issues.
Sure.
The first one to address would be whether or not they get a sign variance, and then we'll define what work they think can do it right.
Y'all can keep doing what you're doing tonight.
Yes,
Next week,
Okay.
I will,
Okay.
I will know to do the sign variance first.
and I will send you 2 separate resolutions.
Okay. So let's go back to her motion, which she made, except for that we're also, you're gonna add that y'all are gonna
Also
sign
pending the indemnity
identification.
clause for the,
Okay.
I'm helping.
Identification agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the right
for,
of way, that includes the
It's a little
identification.
complex
Okay.
here. It's my night. It's complex, okay?
So I have your
Alright.
motion to allow working in the right of way
So,
and sign placement approval conditional on special issues approval by them. Also pending approval of the indemnification agreement.
Correct.
What you meant.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right. That's 4. Any opposed? I'm sorry. All right, that's 4 to nothing. All right, great. Thank you. We appreciate you guys coming and presenting that again.
Don't go anywhere.
Okay, on new business, we've got a public hearing set for it's 01/07/21, set for July 26, 2021, for the consideration of variance for the sign ordinance permission to work in the right of way on Gadsby Court and North Shadesview Terrace. Okay. And we got Gail Smith on that.
Melody. Melody.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Wilson. Sorry. You're the only unfamiliar face in the room, so.
Okay. Are you the property owner? If you are, please come forward and
And do you
sign
mind
in.
signing in?
Sign in right here.
You to have. I'm Cale Smith, by the way.
Hey, Cale, how you doing?
Good to see
Spoken to you on the phone.
We're excited to have Cale.
Good.
And doing a great job.
What do I-
I don't know. Get you a raise.
Yeah, a raise, yeah, you get
Yeah,
prices.
yeah.
I know how those raises
Okay.
go. At least you didn't get up, it couldn't be.
All right, Cale, why don't you first kind of tell us what they're trying to accomplish and then
Yeah,
we can
so-
talk about it.
A little bit of history behind this one, just a little bit. If you turn to the second page of the handout that I just sent, the Gatsby sign has been there for a really long time, a couple of decades.
Built in 92.
And so, okay, in 92. And then so the person that lived at this is how I understand the story. The person that lived at the corner of 1100 South Shadesview Terrace, which is kind of on the left here, had a water line service leak, and Permian Water had to come out and fix it, or contractor, and they had to take the sign down. And the guy who owns the property was worried that the sign being installed back in the same place would create another service line disruption, damage to one of the service lines. So he asked that it not be put back in the same place, that it was in this location.
Was there any evidence that it caused the problem? Or it
No,
did?
and there was no, right, there was nobody accused the sign from creating an issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's been there for a long time.
Right.
Over time, the water line, it ran underneath the signpost. And nobody knew it. And
The only problem is if it happens, something happens again, it's going to have to be torn down again.
Or we just move it away from
Yeah,
where the
we just
water line,
move it
should be able
away.
to call 811 or whatever it is and know where the line is.
Right.
So that's the history. The city got the sign, we finally delivered it back to them, and we told them that, them being Gatsby, that they couldn't put the sign in the public right of way because we don't have monument signs or subdivision signs in the public right of way. So on the third sheet are locations where we suggested that they put it on private property into the entrance of the neighborhood. 1100 is not technically a part of the subdivision.
Right.
So we suggested that they move it off of the right of way and back into the subdivision some more. But as you can see from the second page, again, there's some topo change from the street up, up the slopes. So that created issues for the folks who wanted to be able to see the sign and all that. So they decided to come here.
Yeah, because we know there's plenty of other subdivision signs in the public right of way all over. I've got pictures of 8 or 9 in Homewood. if you want them.
It's, and just to help me to understand, it's Gatsby, it was a development that they did, and those are public roads.
Yes.
Correct.
But someone created a little thing, they call it Gatsby, and they subdivided a parcel and
Right.
they had a name for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is there a homeowners association within Gatsby?
There was at one time. It really hasn't done any
Okay,
function much.
and so the purpose of the sign is just to let everybody know that you're entering Gatsby.
Yeah,
I
right.
guess, which is just that road that I guess just dead ends into 2 cul-de-sacs.
There's three,
Right.
there are 3 circles.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
13 houses in total in Gatsby, and 3 circles.
And so the owners within there would like a sign just to let everybody know that
Yes.
you've arrived in Gatsby.
Yes.
Okay.
It's been recognized like that for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
So the person at 1100 would prefer the sign not be there, I guess?
They
Is
would
that the
prefer it
issue?
not interfere with their water line.
Which is, I mean, you don't have to move very far to keep it away from the water line.
Yeah. So,
But it's still within the right of way.
so are you guys recommending, the sign's been removed and you're trying to put it back? Are you saying, I mean, you don't have to move very far to get out of their water line, correct? I
Right.
mean,
That's what we'd like, because it's at the entrance instead of back up the road way out, way
Right.
back. entrance.
Yeah, the
So-
options that I'm looking at here are back. There's no
Back
point in
further.
having one
Yeah.
because you're 120 feet into the subdivision before you see the sign.
Exactly.
Are you trying to do that? Is it from where it is now coming closer to the road? Is that how y'all are gonna get it?
We
away?
really,
I don't know, I'm not
I
looking.
mean, if you move it
So-
if you move it 3 feet, you're out of
We
the
would-
water line.
Yeah, we just moved it back that way.
back
a
over
couple of-
here.
Yeah, back that way, towards the, coming towards the stop sign. A few feet.
I don't think that's.
Does that get it in our right of way?
What?
I guess what I want to make sure is that we all know before a decision is made on it, that we all know where the sign is going and confirm that that actually is in the right of way. And it sounds like we don't know exactly where the sign is going, so it's hard to say. Whether
You
or
mean
not
where the proposed,
the proposed location
yeah. Well, there,
for the ridge.
I would say it's only a few feet from where
Right.
it was.
Right,
Who's,
yeah.
I wish Randy was here. I don't think you can put another sign within the certain proximity of a stop sign.
you can't, so signs in the right of way are totally prohibited.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just talking about specifically in relation to directly adjacent to a stop sign. I think there's an actual law that prevents you from having a
Can't
sign.
park within 30 feet.
Right. I think there's something else about you not having anything else super close to a stop
Well,
sign.
you shouldn't allow obstruction. I don't think they do any specific signs.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, it won't obstruct. Stop signs on the, facing the other
Yeah,
way.
yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying, I think that's actually an actual law. I don't think that's just something, I mean, I can text Randy and ask him.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
But yeah, I guess my question is, if we don't know where the sign is going to go, how do we know what we're approving? Or if it need, we know it's gonna need special issues approval theoretically, but if we don't know where the sign is gonna go,
So, I mean, I think the description would be something like in the right of way to the north of 1100 South Shadesview Terrace within the right of way.
let me ask it a different way. Is there a possibility that it gets moved and isn't in the right of way?
No,
No.
because I think you can call it up on the Jefferson County GIS. You can see where the right of way is. And we're clearly going to be inside the right of way.
I mean, I think just by a parallel, if this was a tree and someone is asking to plant a tree in the right of way, we would get a site plan
Right.
marking the location specifically of where it was to go. And we would make our approval based off of that.
And we don't have a problem doing that. You just have to tell us, will you accept the GIS survey from the county? Or have you got a site plan you want us to use?
You're talking about for where the right of way is?
No, but where we're going to show the sign.
Where to apply.
You're asking where.
There's no really good plat, I'll call it. Maybe this is the best thing we
That's
got.
an issue with bees.
Oh, yeah, right.
Whatever Dale thinks is appropriate. That-
Yeah, I mean, you could
that's-
take this and draw some dimensions from property corners and that would be.
Does that show the
Yeah, I think
the
that,
right, that doesn't show the right of way,
It
does it?
it does.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Those black lines.
So the 3 plots we have right now, 2 are where it could go
And B.
and 1 is where it was, but neither one necessarily says
it will be.
where we're looking to put it now.
The red dots are where we said it's permissible for it to go.
Where we're looking to put it now is exactly where the blue dot is.
Yeah.
The blue dot shows, that we can put dimensions on that, but the blue dot shows where we are proposing to put it.
Which is right where it was.
Exactly. Yeah, except not on top of the water line. We'll move it a foot. Whatever we need to move away from it.
Does this get away from our committee and really to special issues?
Well, so whether the sign can be there is special issues, whether they can work in the right of way is your committee. So it's, again, whatever you do would have to be conditional upon what happens at special issues. They would have to allow the variance. Yeah. So. So,
So
Okay,
we're
anyway,
only
you want
considering,
anything
we're
that-
only considering permission to work in the right of way?
correct.
Right.
And then special issues will have to consider the variance.
right.
So whatever you do, it would be conditional upon special issues approving the variance.
Yeah, I mean, and I just must say too, this one feels different than the one we just approved. And that's primarily because we knew we were approving work that is going to be done regardless of the, whether or not the sign goes in. We were looking at, landscaping and parking spots and making conditional. This one solely is just about the sign. So It's really hard for me to move it out of here without knowing the sign.
So the committee has a couple of options. You could approve it conditional if you want to go ahead and send it out so that it could go on Monday. The other option is you carry it over, see what happens in special issues and come back and deal with it. And maybe at that point, you've got a better drawing that's showing you where the sign is located. It's going to delay it by a few weeks, but you know.
Well, I mean, to be clear, they want to put the sign back exactly where it was,
Yes.
but miss the service line.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be within a few inches or
Right,
feet.
so,
of-
so this layout you're saying is gonna be,
It's not big enough scale to show.
Yeah.
Right.
the layout's gonna look almost exactly the same, except they're trying to miss the water
The
line.
sign,
Exactly.
the sign is two post holes.
So
Right.
knowing that the sign variant or the sign request will be in special issues and that there'll be a public hearing for that on July 26th. then if that
Assuming the
proceeds,
special
then
issue
it's-
sends it out tonight.
Yes,
Well,
assuming
but
the special issues-
yeah,
Then that would go to public hearing on July 26th. And if approved, then as a sign variance, then it could come back for
should this,
work in the right of way
On
on
the
August 2nd.
correct,
And we could approve that at that time.
correct.
That'd be August 9th for y'all voted on that.
And then it would go back to council for August 9th, assuming that it went out.
And is that timeline agreeable to y'all to allow for us to just, I mean, because again, it's having these cases back to back, it seems like, there's a similarity, but, sending theirs out is, they've got other work in the right of way to do other than just the sign. This one's solely based on the sign. And it seems to me that we want to approve the sign before giving you approval to work in the right of way.
What is, it's been there for 30 years.
What is it you need to approve the sign?
You've got to get a
It
variance.
is a prohibited
No,
sign.
I get that, but out of your group, you just
So-
gotta go to another group.
So there are two things you're asking for. You're asking for a variance to the sign ordinance,
Right.
and you're asking for work in the right of way.
And-
Those, let me finish.
All right.
Those go to two different committees because two different committees are designated to handle those things. A sign variance is handled by a special issues committee. That is yet to be done. Whether or not you have permission to work in the right of way is handled by Public Works, which is where you are now,
And what makes it a sign variance?
because the sign is not allowed by ordinance. So for you to put a sign there, you need a variance.
Oh, okay. And what documentation do you need and who gets it to request for us to get a sign variance?
You have already requested it, is my understanding.
Yeah.
You've just got to go through the process.
Okay,
So this request is also on the agenda for special issues, which occurs immediately after this committee
About
meeting.
5 minutes.
It just feels
Okay.
like we're taking them
okay.
Out of order.
but we,
Yeah, we
you
gotta
know,
do committees first. Yeah.
I mean, just, is the end result any different though if we do it contingent on?
No,
I don't think so.
no. The only difference would be whether y'all know when you're discussing it that the variance has been approved. That's the only difference, but
But we're not-
otherwise, the only difference is timing.
I mean, I mean, if we allow them to work in the right of way and they don't get approved by special issues, then.
Then then you can't work in the right of way.
Right.
Right.
We have nothing
Doesn't
to
make
do
any
with the
difference.
right of way.
Correct.
So I don't know. I mean, special issues just didn't happen to be before our meeting. Ours did. It's up to you guys as to whether someone wants to make, but-
Guess we should make special issues.
I mean, if special issues turns it down, what we do tonight wouldn't matter.
Right.
But,
But if they don't turn it down, then it happens quicker.
right,
Yeah,
Right.
and then it
Right.
just adds another meeting and another
Right.
discussion.
Right.
to-
Well, I'd like to make a motion to give permission to work in the right of way contingent on the sign ordinance being approved on special issues.
It's gotta be approved by the council.
So,
Sent out of,
yeah, contingent upon council approving the variance.
yes.
okay, and second,
Second.
okay,
Okay, sorry.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So 4-0.
I mean, I'm not opposed. I'm for it.
Okay,
So 4-0.
all right, 4-0, all right. Don't go anywhere.
Oh, we were through.
All right. Okay.
Give you money for
Um,
your public works.
All right.
A raise.
That's the end of our, all
Learn to stick with-
new
I thought you
business.
said I'm not going anywhere, so I don't have to give you a
Yep, yep.
raise for being co-chair.
Our committee's adjourned.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.